Andrea Gelardin, you're a creative director and consultant and have worked with huge brands such as Burberry, the NBA, and Apple, and top music artists such as Eve and Lady Gaga. You're also the creative director at the fabulous five-star Broadwick Soho Hotel in London. Thank you so much for joining me on Decoding Calm in 15 minutes. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Happy to be here.
Let's start. Let me start. The first question I normally ask people on this is, would you actually describe yourself as a calm person?
On the inside, yes.
Okay,
um, on the outside, no.
right.
I'm quite chaotic on the outside, but on the inside, I'm calm. Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting.
yeah. I A few of my friends call me the marshmallow because they say that I'm all fluffy and marshmallowy on the inside, but on the outside, I look like this kind of hard edge object.
Right.
Yeah,
That's really interesting because a lot of people would say that way, other way around, wouldn't they? They'd say, "Oh, I put on this very calm demeanor when I'm at work, and everyone thinks I'm super chill, but inside it's like the duck analogy with the legs going like crazy under the water."
yeah,
But you're the other way around to that.
yeah. I think it might be related to the fact that I'm a really sensitive person. So I feel
Yeah.
things deeply inside. And I think I kind of try and armor up on the surface to protect that in a work environment. And I'm so
Okay.
a hard outer shell going on to protect that sort of intense sensitivity. Otherwise, I'd
Interesting.
be crying all day.
Really interesting. So you're quite an empath.
Yeah.
Me too. I had this great saying. I was interviewing a lady on this podcast actually, and she said that her therapist said to her, "You've got to stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm."
Mm.
And that
Uh,
really resonated with me.
yeah, that's a great piece of advice.
Hmm.
Yeah, that really resonates with me too. I think, we especially, I mean, in my case, I'm just thinking like in a particularly kind of male dominated industry,
Yeah.
predominantly. Um, there's a lot of that kind of changing how you might naturally be or adapting to how you think you should be. And so, yeah, I think that creates a bit of this kind of outside inside thing.
Right. So do you think you behave differently in a room full of men in business than you would a room full of women, or is it pretty much the same? Do you need that thick, tough skin more in this male-dominated business world, do you think?
I mean, for me, maybe not anymore.
Right.
I think I've learned to kind of, speaking of calm, I think I've learned to be more calm actually,
Have you?
uh, and probably learned to be more calm around lots of kind of big scary men. Well, that I thought were scary, um, for many years, and now I just I behave the same. The answer is I behave the same now as I would in a room full of women, but it's taken time and
Okay.
it's a process. I mean, I'm still kind of learning to deal with a high pressure, high stakes sort of environment in general,
Right.
and how to cope with that. It's definitely
Yeah.
I'm working on.
Yeah. I think most of us are, to be honest. So what are your coping mechanisms? So if you're having a particularly stressful time, busy time, what are your go-to ways of centering yourself?
Yeah, there's a few different things. I try to stay close to the purpose of the job or of the project at hand. So kind of trying to remember why we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
And that really helps, particularly on music projects, for example, where I'm in love with the album or the music in question. So to just kind of get back to focusing on the emotion of that and the joy in that really helps.
Right.
What else? Another thing is just, which sounds obvious, was just trying to really be present. A lot of the times I find my mind going all over the place and I get like sort of paralyzed with fear.
Yeah.
And the only way I know how to sort of change that fear is to be more present, you know,
Yeah.
basically. And
Yeah.
like let's say I'm in a concert environment or some sort of live experience, which the hotel is actually one of as well. It's another form of a live experience. Just sort of take it all in, the energy in the room of the guests or the audience at a show, and feel, that emotion, and then the fear basically goes away when I do that.
Yeah. Perfect. So obviously you're speaking my language now. So um, what you kind of describing, and a tip for people listening or watching this, when you fully inhabit your senses, be that seeing, smelling, touching, tasting, whatever, that kind of withdraws
Mhm.
consciousness, so to speak, from thinking. So you can't, if you're watching, even if you give a really simple example like MasterChef or something. So you present your amazing food to the judges on MasterChef. When they're tasting that, all of their attention's in their mouth. So
Yeah,
they're not thinking that before they start to evaluate and think about what that food tasted like, they're very present. And any environment that kind of pushes you into that is a fairly mindful experience, isn't it?
yeah,
And we're all
absolutely.
seeking presence.
Yeah,
We're all craving it. Like if you look around you, just 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 watch everybody who's walking around the street. We're all kind of lost in thought. You can almost see people.
yeah,
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but do you know what I mean? We're all thinking probably pretty much incessantly. And I think presence. I think you said it sounds obvious or it sounds simple, whatever word you used there. It's simple, but it's not easy, isn't it? It's
yeah.
simple, but it's not easy.
Crazy how hard it is to drop out of your head.
Yeah. I think it's arguably harder now than ever. I mean, I'm old enough to remember I worked in IBM for almost 30 years. And I can remember someone walking into the office one day and saying, "Hey guys, there's this thing called the internet. They just invented this, mid-90s." We were like, "What do you mean? We've got the library downstairs, got all the books we ever need, and da da da." I mean, so I remember pre-internet, and when shops were shut on a Sunday and on a Wednesday and all this kind of, and we had 4 TV channels when I was growing up. So I think the world back, if we go back 30, 40 years for me, the world was much more conducive to stillness, to presence, to being here now. And the technology as it's amped up, of course, our Stone Age minds haven't changed at all, have they? It's hard. I think it's hard for us to keep up. And especially if you add on top of that, so we've got all the distraction of work and email and your phone's pinging and you've got kids and you've got, and if you had a very stressful job on top of that, or very creative, even if it's a high energy, passion, creative job like you do, I think we're seeking more and more. People are seeking more and more ways to kind of step out of the noise, and this is what I love to get into on this podcast.
Yeah.
When you were young, did you always want kind of big jobs, Andrea? Did you always want to work with really well-known people and do senior jobs and have all that pressure? Did you gravitate towards that, or did you just kind of find yourself?
Yeah, no, it's not something I set out to do. I would definitely not. I think I
Right.
was always drawn to mm, well, creativity and collaboration. And
Yeah.
basically what I found and what comes with that storytelling as well. And in my case, in the jobs I did, I just found that those environments, whether that would be fashion or music, where those things, would meet, that creativity and the collaboration, would kind of come with this sort of high pressured, high stakes sort of thing attached. And
Right.
so, in that sense, it was the kind of collaborative part that I was drawn to. Um,
Okay.
but it ended up, being that kind of perfect concoction of, high pressure, high stakes things, because that's kind of what ends up happening.
Yeah.
It will come together, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in the creative part of what you do. I read a quote in the paper the other week about Elton John,
Yeah.
and he said something, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, when I get the lyrics, I sit down, and if I haven't got the tune, if I haven't got the melody in 15, 20 minutes, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I interpreted that as him saying, I mean, everybody knows the old mantra, all the best ideas come in the shower, right? And for me, truly creative people, and I really want to hear what you think about this. Truly creative people, and I kind of point into to my chest and kind of abdomen here. It's almost like the creativity comes through and uses their mind.
Mhm.
But true creativity and innovation doesn't come from a busy mind. So it kind of comes from a deeper place. And of course, it uses our mind to express itself in whatever form that is, music or art or whatever. But there's a depth to this. And the real people that are creating, not the people that exist on in this surface level conceptual, oh yeah, no, I know the answer to that and I've memorized that. And this means this and X plus Y equals that. The people that go much deeper, that are coming up with true innovation creation, people like you, people, it seems to be that they can access that place, but it requires them having a quiet mind. It requires them having a level of stillness that means they can get out of their own way enough to allow their creativity to come through. Does that does that ring true for you?
It does actually, and it's something that I think about quite often because
Right.
I used to feel so guilty about the resting side of I know lots of people do, lots of creatives definitely do.
Yeah.
And actually, rest is really productive
Yeah.
in creative jobs. And I always joke that like being on the sun lounge is when like these amazing ideas come, but it is, you
Yeah.
know, it's this. I don't know. I think there's lots of kind of trying to prove yourself sort of vibe in creative jobs and kind of all these expectations. And so that's what I mean about the rest thing. I think there's this whole thing about, well, you can't rest and you can't stop and you can't go to museum and you can't be with your kids and you can't go to sleep early, especially because, for example, in music, artists tend to, and I don't really know why, but they tend to make songs at night.
Yeah.
Certainly the ones I work with. It's a funny thing that it's like studio time is almost always at night. Well, in my
Is it?
experience, yeah, yeah. My ex-boyfriend was a musician as well, and he'd always be with the band at night, never during the day.
Yeah. I remember hearing that about Prince as well. I know you've worked with the Prince estate.
Yeah,
He was a late night person, wasn't he?
really interesting. I think so. There's this thing that I always used to think to myself, oh well, I've got to be awake at night and I've got to be there and I've got to be present. Even when I obviously felt really exhausted. But now, I look back and I think, oh, if only I had told myself that actually, as I was saying, that rest is super productive and it's essential for the creative process. Um, so yeah, I think there's this, you got, like you said, you do have to make space for it because it's like you've got to feed it. And you've got to have space to feed it with those things. And the things are, well, sort of the obvious things, but in my case, nature, movement would be a big one.
Yeah.
Um, related to what we were talking about earlier, getting out of my head and living in my body
Yeah.
properly.
Yes.
Um, so, a lot of dance basically.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah,
And our bodies are so wise, aren't they? There's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score.
yeah,
And the first time I really understood how wise my body was and how if there's ever a conflict, Andrea, between my mind and my body, that my mind is wrong and my mind could lie to me, is when I lost my job at IBM. So I lost my job at IBM after 28 years, but in 2020 was in COVID. I've been teaching mindfulness then. I really wanted to bring this incredible program to other people, but I was scared because I'd never set up a business myself. I didn't know selling, I didn't know marketing, didn't know anything, right? I'd only existed in this little IBM bubble. And I remember literally sitting in silence with it and thinking, what do I want to do next? I was 46 then. I thought, well, what I've probably got 20 years at least left to work. What do I want to do? And when I was still, and I imagined going back into another corporate, it sounds dramatic, but I literally felt nauseous. I could feel in my stomach, and we've got brain cells in our stomach, don't we? Neurons, same neurons that we've got in our, and I could feel nausea. And when I imagined going on this scary but brilliant adventure of teaching people stress reduction and helping them and showing, I had this huge, there was fear there, but it was kind of it's almost like I'm going to get on a roller coaster kind of fear. It was an excited fear. And my body was telling me so plainly. But if I'd listened to my mind, my mind, probably because of my conditioning and everything else, my mind would have said, no, 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 too risky, too risky. You've got to go and get another job at Microsoft or Salesforce. You've got to get a safe job there. Let's get that in the bank. Let's get healthcare. Let's get paid time off. Let's get that, right? So I always encourage people, listen to your body as much as you can. Your body will not let you down. Your gut feel is so true. Heart, we've got brain cells in our heart. All these old sayings that we've got, she went with her heart. She went with her gut feel. They're rooted in science. These aren't just woo-woo fluffy things now. And I think most people live above their shoulders now. We exist in our heads and we're all chatting and things are a million miles an hour and not many things take us out of our heads. So the more we can do that, definitely the better. You talked about kind of reflecting on things you'd learned as you've matured. Do you think there's anything you could have told your 21-year-old self, Andrea, that A, she would have listened, and B, she kind of would have acted upon? Do you think there's anything? Do you think these are just lessons we have to learn the hard way through life and our experience? Or do you think there's anything you could go back and tell your 21-year-old self? And if there is, tell me what it is.
I think I think I would have told my 20-year-old self that you really don't need to prove anything.
Yeah.
Because that for me feels like it was a real like driving force having to prove this or prove that and on lots of different layers, as a female in the male dominated like music touring scene or again in the fashion scene as well. There weren't that many kind of senior female leaders. But also before that, before my first job at school as well, there was all this sort of stuff flying around from all angles on like what it means to be productive,
Mm.
as you prepare to go into the working world after your studies. And I just look back and I think, God, I spent a lot of time worrying about proving myself in this field and proving myself in that field and proving myself as a good person to that colleague. And I just didn't really need to do any of that and probably
Right.
just trust myself more.
Yeah. I think you and I are quite similar. I would describe myself, I think Oprah coined this phrase, I have the disease to please.
Mm.
I'm
Yes,
desperate for everyone to like me, and
yeah, I am as well.
it's exhausting though.
Yeah, yeah, I
You know,
know it is definitely. And it's yeah, it's just this funny thing where we're just so hard on ourselves as well along the way on the ride.
mm. Oh God, my inner critic's like a drill sergeant. He's
Yeah,
brutal. I mean, I'd never talk to other people like he talks to me.
yeah, same.
I mean, I've learned not to pay attention to him because I know he lies a lot, and I've quietened
Yeah,
him down a bit. But he's still there. He still has a little chirp every now and then.
yeah.
Um, what would you say is the highest stakes situation? You can interpret this however you like, personal life with professional. What's the highest stakes situation you've been in, and crucially, how did you get through it?
I would say the highest stakes situation is any live music
Right.
event, really.
Yeah,
Mainly because there's just so much room for things to go wrong.
yeah, I bet. Yeah,
And that's also obviously what makes it so amazing. But um, you've got these huge teams, you've got complex layers of timings and tech, and and obviously you can't control it. It's really unpredictable.
yeah,
Um, so that's super nerve-wracking. Um, at the same time, it's obviously a real thrill. Um, but I would say a live music performance where everything is, up to the gods. Basically, it is pretty is the highest stakes situation I've been in certainly in a professional setup.
right. And would you describe yourself? Do you think you go into a kind of flow state when you're in there? When you're in there and it's happening,
Yeah,
athletes would talk to it. Athletes would describe something as flow state, wouldn't they? So a top class sport, or even any kind of sportsman, but certainly the top class sportsmen and women, when they're performing their sport, no matter what it is, they're not thinking when they do that. They just are. We're back to presence again, and they're present, and they've done the thousands of hours of prep, and their body knows what to do. And the more they think, that the more their performance degrades. Right? You can't ski down a thing at God knows what speed, and as soon as you start thinking, the chance of you fall over go up massively. So, do you think? I was going to ask you, can you enjoy those live music events when you're there? But let me pair that also with: do you go into this kind of flow state where you just have to be as utterly present as you can to do your best in that moment? So do you go into a flow state? And if you do, does that allow you to enjoy it, or you can you only kind of enjoy it when you look back and say, oh, thank God, nothing went wrong. It was perfect, amazing. You can breathe again.
yeah, yeah. It's a kind of combination, I'd say. As in I try to go into the flow state.
Yeah.
I don't always get there, uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's what we were saying before. When I remember to connect with the emotion of the performance,
Mm.
then we're in a good place.
Yes.
And I start to surrender, and everything drops into this sort of floaty, joyful thing. Um, but it doesn't always happen.
I love that you use the word surrender there.
Yeah.
People often misinterpret that. That people often will misinterpret surrender as giving up, as not taking action, as if I say to people, the most deeply peaceful people on this planet are the ones that surrender to what is, that accept the present moment, however it is. They imagine that that means if someone comes up to me and punches me in the face, I have to go, oh, well, I just accept that's happening
Mm.
and don't take any action. If we're not saying that, we're not saying don't protect yourself, don't take action, don't fix something if you can't fix it. What we're saying is the moment you start to accept something you don't like, because we can all accept the stuff we love, as soon as you accept something that you don't like, instantly you feel a bit more peaceful, don't you? Just imagine, and anyone listening to this, imagine getting caught in the rain.
Mm.
The moment you go, oh, screw it, I'm going to get wet. That comes with that, shoulders drop. All right, it's fine. I'm going to get wet now.
Yeah.
And surrendering to life is huge, I think. So I love that you use that word.
Yeah.
I've got a little quote from Prince here. And then I'll do some quick fire questions if that's all right. Prince once said, I like constructive criticism from smart people. What would you say is the best bit of constructive criticism you've ever had?
Well, it's quite similar to something you said earlier about the heat and the fire. Someone once said to me, stop making yourself so small, Andrea, just to make other people feel comfortable.
Okay.
Um, and that really stuck with me, actually.
Yeah.
It shifted something in me in the way I kind of carried myself at work and yeah, approached decision making and various things. I was like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, stop kind of it is what we were saying earlier, basically adapting to please others.
So would you say that was so you were overly self-deprecating? You were kind of
Yeah, or like what's the word? Sort of betraying my own vision or beliefs or into
okay.
my feelings about things to please others, basically.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I remember doing a talk at IBM on mindfulness, right? And I
Yeah.
remember going into the crowd thinking it's quite a big event. I remember thinking people haven't opted into this. So there's going to be people in the audience that might think, oh, what a load of rubbish. It's woo woo rubbish. And one guy literally said to me during the thing, because I was saying, oh, I only like three more. I said something like only three more slides or something. And Steve, stop being so self-deprecating. This is really good. And that hit me like a train. I remember thinking, wow, yeah, I shouldn't be apologizing for this. This is actually good stuff. People are enjoying it and helping it. And it's tied in with that disease to please, isn't it? We're like, oh, I want these people to love us. So let me squash myself down.
Yeah. I have this we have this inside joke where it seems to be just a super common thing that almost all creatives in any field, I think, it's like they start sentences with going, so it could be like this, but not that. It's like they
Right.
always say that. I mean, I'm in a meeting almost daily where people go, but not that. They're trying to
Right.
say not that shit idea because we're just like, yeah, embarrassed about what people might think, or we're not backing ourselves, or we think our work is, shit, basically.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? I mean, especially someone like you. That I mean, your CV is incredible. The brands you've worked with. You would think we'd kind of you would internalize it, and it would. But these are kind of big, heavy brick walls. I think that get built, and they're quite hard to knock down, aren't they? It takes a while.
They're deeply rooted. It doesn't really, it's not directly related to what someone says to me. My family and my friends are super supportive of the work I do and tell me it's amazing and that they love it and they have so much fun with it and da, da, da. But I'm there going, okay, Andrea, you're not that bad. You're not that bad. You're not
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, we're going to finish with some quick fire questions. If that's okay. And I'm really interested in this one. Are you a morning or an evening person?
Oh, I'm an evening person.
You're the first one to say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Even
Um,
with young kid and stuff, I still am not a morning person.
I thought you might say it after what you touched on earlier.
Yeah, I'm an evening person.
Emails or phone calls?
Phone calls,
Favorite food?
olives. I'm an olive.
Are you?
Yeah,
Where'd you get the best olives from in London? Broadwick Soho, obviously. They do good olives. I can vouch for that.
they actually
Um,
do.
I tell you, there's an amazing olive oil in Whole Foods. I get it whenever I come up to London, and it used to be called Seggiano. They've renamed it. Do you know the one I mean? It's a beautiful. It's quite expensive, but it's the most amazing.
Like a
Tall,
square.
no, tallish slim, but I'll send you a link after. It's the
Okay, cool.
most amazing olive oil I've ever found. Favorite book?
Probably 100 Years of Solitude.
Nice.
I love that story.
Yeah. Guilty pleasure?
I've got loads. Probably like Kevin Costner films.
Okay.
Kevin
Nice
Costner,
one.
how about that?
Kevin's fine. And if you could invite you, this might be the answer to your next question. If you could invite anyone over for dinner, alive or dead, who would it be? Is it Kevin?
I, I love No, actually, it would be Lee Bowery, I think. Uh,
Okay.
just like so original and provocative and funny. I think it would be a wildly fun dinner. And I love everything that Lee did and used his body as art and, that kind of performancey, fashiony cross section. I'm really into it.
Lee and some amazing olives sounds like a great night.
Yeah. And a Kevin Costner film.
I'm Kevin Costner film. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me on Decoding Calm in 15 minutes. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.